Listen closely. There are moments in life when something stirs beneath the surface. A quiet tremor, a subtle shift, almost invisible to the eyes, yet undeniable to the heart. This is not coincidence. It is the sign that your energy is moving, that the ground beneath your spirit is preparing for transformation. In Shaolin, we call this the whisper before the storm, the breath before the strike. And if you are hearing my words now, it means the signal has already reached you. Many people wait for dramatic signs, lightning in the sky, sudden fortune or loss. But true change begins much quieter. It lives in the rhythm of your breath, in the heaviness or lightness of your steps, in the way your body tenses before your mind even names it. For centuries, monks have trained not to chase miracles, but to recognize these hidden signals. They listened to the body as if it were scripture, trusted the breath as if it were a compass, and discovered that the smallest inner shifts opened doors to great transformation. In this message, I will share how you can recognize those hidden signals within yourself. You will learn how stillness activates power, how discipline builds clarity, and how to step into the threshold of what many call the quantum jump. These are not theories for the mind alone. They are lived practices, passed down through discipline and silence. By the end, you will see why the subtle tremor within you now is no accident. It is a call to rise, to cross from one state of being into another. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you find strength and guidance here, join our path by subscribing and walk this journey with us. There is a kind of strength that does not reveal itself in movement, but in stillness. When the world rushes forward, we are taught to chase, to strive, to exhaust ourselves in pursuit. Yet in the temple, we learned another truth. Sometimes the greatest preparation is to remain unmoving. When a young disciple first comes to the monastery, he often believes power comes from speed, from striking faster than the opponent. I allow him to practice, to burn his energy, until his breath grows heavy and his body trembles. Then I ask him to stand, just stand, feet rooted, spine upright, arms raised as if holding the weight of the sky. Minutes pass, his muscles ache, his mind grows restless. He asks me, "Master, is this training?" I answer only with silence. This practice is called Zhang, standing like a post. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing. No fighting, no striking, no movement at all. But within the stillness, something begins to stir. The disciple starts to notice his own impatience, the chatter of his thoughts, the fire in his legs. He meets the raw edge of his limits, and slowly, breath by breath, he learns to endure without collapse, to soften where he once resisted. In this way, stillness becomes the forge where inner power is awakened, the body aligns, the breath deepens, the mind sharpens, no longer distracted by what is outside. What seemed like inactivity is actually the ground from which true strength grows. When the disciple finally moves again, his strikes are no longer fueled by force alone, but by rooted presence. This is the secret. Stillness is not the absence of action, it is the preparation for action that cannot fail. The breath is the first teacher, though many overlook it. It follows us from birth until the final moment, yet how rarely do we truly meet it. Most breathe without awareness, as if carried by a tide they never notice. But those who walk the path of mastery learn to treat the breath as a bridge between body and mind, between confusion and clarity. In the monastery, a disciple once asked why we begin every practice with breathing. Shouldn't we train the body first, master the forms, sharpen the strikes? He said. I guided him to sit, nothing more. Count your breaths, I told him, 10 inhales, 10 exhales. At first his eyes grew heavy, his mind wandered, he lost the count. Each thought pulled him away like branches caught in a current. Only when he surrendered to the rhythm, inhale, exhale, did his restlessness begin to fade. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. Every inhale is an invitation to return to the present. Every exhale is a chance to let go of what clings to the mind. Slowly the noise recedes. What seemed overwhelming a moment before softens, like mist dissolving under the morning sun. Breath is discipline disguised as gentleness. It asks for no weapons, no great effort, only attention. Yet through it, Warriors have steadied their hands in battle, monks have calmed storms within their hearts, and seekers have found the doorway to higher awareness. When the breath is shallow, the mind scatters. When the breath is deep, the mind gathers. And when breath, body, and mind finally align, clarity shines without struggle. The world may remain loud, but within there is only a quiet center, steady, calm, unshakable. To stand rooted is more than a posture, it is a way of being. In Shaolin training, the stance is the beginning of everything. Feet pressed firmly to the earth, knees soft, spine tall. From the outside it looks simple, even ordinary. But what is trained here is not only the body, it is the mind's ability to stay where it is fully present, unshaken. A story is told of a young student who wanted to master advanced techniques. He asked his teacher daily to show him new forms, new movements. Instead, the teacher instructed him to practice the horse stance, standing low, legs wide, holding still for what felt like endless hours. At first, the student grew frustrated. His legs burned, his mind rebelled, his thoughts raced ahead to the skills he longed for. But the teacher remained unmoved. If your stance is not rooted, every strike you throw will be empty. Through months of discipline, the student began to notice a change. His legs grew strong, yes, but more than that, his mind grew quiet. The impatience that once pulled him forward eased. He discovered that power did not come from rushing toward the future or clinging to the past. It came from anchoring his attention in this very moment, as steady as the earth beneath him. The rooted stance became more than training. It became a reminder: to be unrooted is to be pulled by distraction, scattered by desire and fear. To be rooted is to gather all your energy here, now, and channel it fully. When the stance is firm, the strike is true. When the mind is grounded, the path opens. This is the essence of Shaolin discipline, not to escape the moment, but to stand so deeply in it that nothing can move you. Change rarely arrives in a single dramatic moment. The river does not carve the canyon in one stroke, it flows persistently over countless days. So too the transformation of the self is quiet, almost invisible, until one day the landscape has shifted entirely. In the monastery, students often grow impatient. They seek sudden mastery, a spark that will carry them across the threshold. But the teacher reminds them every stance, every breath, every shift in attention matters. A slight adjustment of the shoulders, a deeper exhale, a moment of full awareness in a mundane task. These are not trivial. Each is a stone laid on the path of awakening. One disciple struggled with focus. His mind wandered during meditation. His strikes lacked intent in practice. Frustrated, he believed he was failing. The master did not chastise him. Instead, he asked him to notice one small detail each day: the feel of his feet on the ground, the rise and fall of his chest, the tone of his own voice. A week passed, then two. Slowly these tiny calibrations accumulated. The wandering mind began to settle, movements grew precise, and a quiet strength emerged that had not existed before. This is the principle behind the quantum jump. It is not an instant leap into a new state, but the culmination of countless micro-awakenings. Each small act of discipline, each moment of attention, each deliberate choice of presence gathers power quietly. The change appears sudden only to those who did not witness the patient work that preceded it. Transformation is a mosaic, formed piece by piece, imperceptibly at first. One moment, you will notice the shift has happened. The leap was never sudden, it was the quiet, persistent practice of mastery unfolding, day by day, breath by breath, step by step. True growth is never comfortable. In the temple, the path is measured not by ease, but by the careful edge of challenge. Shaolin training is designed to push the body, mind, and spirit just enough that resistance arises, but never beyond what the student can endure. It is in this tension that transformation quietly begins. A young monk once came to practice, eager to master a form he had seen performed with flawless grace. He tried to imitate it, forcing his body into shapes it was not yet ready to hold. Pain shot through muscles, frustration clouded his mind. Observing him, the teacher placed a hand lightly on his shoulder and whispered, Do not fight what is notice it, feel it. Accept it. This is the essence of mindful practice. Discomfort is inevitable, but contraction is optional. Instead of recoiling, the monk learned to lean into the sensation, to watch the burn in his arms, the tremble in his legs, the tension in his mind, without resistance or judgment. In doing so, he discovered strength he did not know he possessed. Mindfulness and discipline walk hand in hand. The body stretches, the mind resists, the spirit wavers, but awareness holds the center. When the student stops fleeing discomfort, a shift occurs. What once felt unbearable becomes familiar. Limits expand quietly, without fanfare, and what seemed impossible becomes possible. Transformation does not demand reckless effort, it requires steady attention, patience, and willingness to meet discomfort fully. In that meeting, power grows, not as force but as presence. The edges of the body, mind, and spirit expand naturally, like a tree reaching upward, roots anchored in patience and soil, branches stretching into the sky. This is the subtle art of mastery, embracing challenge without contraction, allowing the self to grow in calm, deliberate alignment. Purpose is not a banner to wave, nor a goal to impress others. It is quiet, subtle, and deeply felt, like a small flame that guides even in darkness. In Shaolin training, every motion, every stance, every breath carries intent. Nothing is left to chance. To move without purpose is to scatter energy, to act without direction, to tire the body and cloud the mind. A student once asked why forms must be repeated endlessly, why every punch, block, and stance was practiced again and again. The teacher replied simply, each movement is a question, each stance an answer, but only with awareness does it speak truth. At first, the student performed mechanically, counting motions without thought. Then one day he paused before a stance and felt the weight of the earth beneath his feet, the alignment of his spine, the flow of energy through his arms. In that moment, every movement became meaningful. Each motion had purpose, each gesture a reason beyond the obvious. This is the essence of intentional practice. Purpose does not need to be grand or public. It is the inner compass that guides action with precision and clarity. When the mind is aligned with intent, even small gestures carry weight, the energy flows effortlessly, and effort is focused, not wasted. In life as in Shaolin forms, clarity of purpose transforms ordinary action into mastery. Without it, the body acts, but the spirit lacks. With it, even simple acts, walking, breathing, speaking, become expressions of alignment and awareness. Purpose is not a distant goal, it is the pulse beneath every motion, the quiet current that directs energy, shapes focus, and allows presence to blossom. In that alignment, every action carries power, and every moment becomes a step toward self-mastery. There is a moment in training when the mind begins to chatter louder than the body can follow. Thoughts race, fear, doubt, desire, regret, and the student feels pulled in every direction, as if caught in a storm. To move with mastery, one must learn to step back, to shift from being carried by thought to observing it as a witness. A young monk struggled with this. During meditation, his mind refused to settle. Every attempt to focus ended with frustration, every breath interrupted by a new worry. The master asked him to sit and simply watch. Do not chase the thoughts, do not fight them, see them as clouds drifting across the sky of your mind. At first, the student resisted. Thoughts were relentless, but slowly he began to notice a gap between himself and the noise. He was still present, still alive, yet no longer fused with every passing impulse. This is the gateway to true mastery. When thought no longer drives action, clarity emerges. Decisions are no longer reactions, movement is no longer scattered, the body acts with intent, guided by awareness rather than distraction. The mind, once restless, becomes a mirror reflecting the present, rather than a storm pulling the self apart. Shaolin teachings have long emphasized this subtle shift. In forms, in stance, in every breath, the practitioner moves from reaction to observation. This does not mean detachment from life, it means freedom within life. To witness thought is to regain sovereignty over the self. Each moment of awareness strengthens the bridge between inner stillness and outer action. The transformation is quiet but profound. The more one observes, the less one is tossed by impulses. Energy flows cleanly, attention sharpens, and presence deepens. Mastery begins not with conquering the world outside, but with standing unwavering inside, eyes open, witnessing every thought, yet guided by none. True power does not live in muscle alone, nor in thought alone. Shaolin training teaches this through every stance, every form, every repetition. Strength without awareness is empty. It is force without direction, like a river dammed and spilling over uselessly. Awareness without embodiment drifts, untethered, like wind across open plains. The harmony of both is where transformation awakens. A young disciple once focused only on physical prowess. He could break boards, endure long hours of practice, and move with speed, yet in sparring, his strikes lacked precision. The master observed him, then instructed the disciple to slow down, to feel the alignment of his spine, the balance of his weight, the rhythm of his breath. Slowly, the student began to sense a new layer, the flow of energy through his limbs, the subtle timing of power, the presence that sharpened every action. Physical ability met conscious awareness, and the difference was immediate. His movements became intentional, powerful, yet effortless. This is the essence of body-mind unity. The Shaolin do not train muscle without thought, nor meditation without grounding. Every movement is a meditation, every posture a map of energy. When awareness and body align, something shifts quietly but irrevocably. The practitioner moves from repetition to resonance, from doing to being. Your quantum jump, the sudden profound shift in your state of being, emerges here. Not as a burst of random energy, but as the natural result of alignment cultivated over time. Awareness lights the path, embodiment carries the weight, and together they open doors previously unseen. Strength flows without strain, clarity guides without effort, and the self becomes a vessel ready to step fully into what is waiting beyond. This alignment is not found in haste, it is discovered in patient practice, in attentive repetition, and in the stillness between motion and thought. Many believe mastery is measured by control over others, over circumstances, over outcomes. Shaolin wisdom teaches something different. True mastery begins with understanding, with insight into one's own mind and heart. Without this, power is hollow, a mask that hides insecurity rather than strength. A disciple once trained relentlessly, pushing his body to its limits, demanding perfection from every movement. Yet he grew tense, frustrated, and impatient with himself. The master noticed and said, "Before you master the world, master the one within these bones and thoughts." At first the student did not understand. How could gentleness lead to strength? How could patience be more powerful than force? He was guided to sit quietly and turn his attention inward, to observe his own judgment, his own harsh expectations. To notice the tension in his shoulders, the tightness in his chest, the restless chatter of his mind. Slowly, he learned to treat himself with the same compassion he would show a fellow student. He allowed mistakes, softened his grip on outcomes, and welcomed effort without harsh critique. In that quiet understanding, transformation began. His movements became freer, his strikes more precise, and his mind clear. Self-compassion did not weaken him, it created space, space for growth, for insight, for resilience. The tension that once blocked his potential dissolved, replaced by energy flowing naturally, power guided by wisdom rather than force. Mastery is not dominance, it is presence, clarity, and deep understanding of the self. When the inner landscape is treated with care, every choice carries more intention, every action opens new possibilities. And the strength that emerges is not imposed, it radiates, unshakable, from a foundation rooted in awareness, patience, and self-acceptance. True transformation does not arrive through force. Many spend years striving, pushing, trying to bend life toward their will, yet the deepest shifts occur when tension is released. In Shaolin practice, this principle is woven into every form, every stance, every breath. Mastery begins not with grasping, but with letting go. A student once approached the master, anxious to advance in skill. He measured his progress by outcomes, perfect strikes, flawless forms, visible recognition, yet his body was tight, his mind restless. The master instructed him to step back, to focus not on achievement, but on presence. Release your grip on what you want to see, he said, and notice what is already moving within you. At first the student resisted, clinging to progress as if it were lifeline. Slowly, with each practice, he began to release his attachment. He allowed each motion to unfold without expectation, each breath to flow without demand. This act of letting go does not mean inaction. It is deliberate, patient, attentive. By releasing attachment, the mind clears the obstacles that block energy, perception, and insight. The student discovers that transformation converges naturally when resistance is removed, that the quantum jump is not forced, but allowed. It emerges quietly, like sunlight breaking through clouds, unhurried and inevitable. Mindfulness teaches that outcomes are illusions until the self is prepared to receive them. The path is not about rushing toward a leap, but clearing the way, moment by moment, breath by breath, posture by posture. In this release, the practitioner finds freedom, alignment, and readiness. When effort and surrender balance, the blockages dissolve, and what once felt distant flows into presence. The shift, once elusive, becomes tangible, arising from the calm, deliberate space created by letting go. Discipline is often misunderstood as harsh control, a chain that binds the body and mind. In truth, it is the quiet freedom to return, over and over, to what matters. It is the steady hand that guides the self back to practice, to presence, to alignment, even when distractions, fatigue, or doubt pull in every direction. In the monastery, a young student became frustrated with the pace of his training. He saw others advance faster, perform with more precision, and he wanted the same results immediately. The master took him aside and said, "Discipline is not the force that drives you forward at all costs. Discipline is the power to come back, again and again, even when it feels small, even when the progress is invisible." The student began to understand. Each day, he committed to a simple practice, a few minutes of breathing, a few stances held with attention, a single form repeated slowly. At first, it seemed trivial, insignificant. But over weeks, subtle changes emerged. Movements became more natural, the mind steadier, the presence deeper. Each small return built a foundation invisible to the eyes, yet unshakable in its effect. This is the essence of disciplined practice. It is not about grand gestures or dramatic leaps. It is about consistency, patience, and trust in the process. Each day is an opportunity to reconnect with the self, to align body, mind, and breath. The quiet accumulation of small acts becomes the engine behind profound transformation. Mastery grows not from bursts of effort, but from the gentle, persistent rhythm of return. In this way, freedom and discipline are not opposed, they are inseparable. The power to shift, to awaken, to step into new states of being, arises from the simple, deliberate act of showing up, day after day, until the small returns become a river strong enough to carry you forward. Your quantum jump is not a sudden spark that comes without warning. It is rooted in quiet moments, in the stillness you allow, in the depth of your breath, and in attention fully grounded in the present. It grows through small deliberate shifts, listening inward, aligning body and mind, clarifying purpose, and moving forward with patience, kindness, and discipline. Notice the subtle signals within yourself, the gentle nudge, the quiet awareness rising in your chest, the clarity that slips in when you pause. These are not random, they are the invitations to step into a higher state of being. Lean into them, honor them. Practice presence in small ways each day, and over time, you will feel the shift, the quantum jump, emerging naturally from the foundation you have quietly built. Carry this awareness into your daily life. Approach each task, each interaction, and each challenge with intent. Breathe fully, stand rooted, observe your thoughts, and move with clarity. These small acts, repeated with care, are the true power behind transformation. May your practice deepen, your presence expand, and your inner strength awaken. Let every breath remind you that change begins within, and every step forward is a step toward mastery. If this message resonates with you, join our path by liking this video and subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire. Together we continue walking the journey of awareness, discipline, and transformation, one mindful step at